Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Sound Like Your Favorite Rock God with Ulrich. And you might be wondering, where is Tomcat? Well, as you can see, a lot of stuff is new here. We moved into a new studio, but don't worry, Tomcat is right here with me. We still haven't found a good seat for him yet. So, Tomcat, how do you like the new studio? I want to know from you as well, how do you like the new studio setup? And please also don't forget to subscribe and like this video because you're in for a treat. Today we're going to talk about Eric Clapton and how he revolutionized the blues rock world with his group Cream. We're going to look at 3 essential factors how to sound like Eric Clapton in his Cream days. We're going to look at his phrasing, at his rhythmical placement, and his choice of notes. And if you stick around until the end, we're going to share a secret with you that's going to benefit your playing even more. All right, you have your guitar tuned up? Let's get started. So when Cream came out with their album Fresh Cream in 1966, it was like a bomb hit the English scene. And just a few months later, Jimi Hendrix, with the Jimi Hendrix Experience, should also hit the English scene. So as far as the blues rock world goes, this was time where revolutions were happening left and right. This was definitely a time of groundbreaking change. But it wasn't like Cream were newcomers. All of the 3 members were already really established. Eric Clapton had played with the Yardbirds and already made himself a name in the English blues scene. But what was so different about Cream? Well, Cream with Ginger Baker on drums and Jack Bruce on bass were basically a jazz group, only using the blues language and playing at ear-piercing rock volume. But Eric Clapton was really the only one that was a strict blues player, and sometimes he definitely felt challenged because he didn't have the jazz vocabulary that the other guys had. But what he had was fire and intuition.
He suddenly appeared at my place one night with this idea of forming a group with Eric. It just seemed such a good idea that we decided to have a play together just to see if it would work. And we all went to Ginger's house and we just set up our instruments in his living room and just played this number which lasted for about 2 hours or something, you know, without stopping.
So when we take a closer listen to Eric Clapton's solo on Crossroads, which can just be taken as a great example of his sound around that time, then we notice immediately the going back and forth between the minor third sound and the major third sound. And while this is not such an uncommon thing in blues, it needs to be noted that the way Clapton confronted those 2 sounds in a matter of 1 bar has not really been heard like that before. Let's just look at some sample phrases. As you can hear, Clapton starts out here with somewhat of a B.B. King-ish major phrase, but then he immediately switches back to a straight up minor pentatonic phrase. And this is just a kind of game that he plays during the whole solo. This adds a lot to the dramatic build of this solo, and I can just encourage you to try it yourself. Also very interesting to notice is when you take a closer look at Jack Bruce's bass part, you can hear that he basically does the same thing. And you know, he's a jazz bass player, he plays a lot of upright. So basically he's outlining the changes and soloing underneath Eric Clapton's part pretty much the whole time. So when we listen to Eric's solo, we notice that very rarely does he land on the one or does he start on the one. And this adds a lot to the sophisticated vibe of the Crossroads solo. So where does he start his phrases? He starts a lot of phrases with a pickup note or on the 2. And so basically it's slurring the bar lines and just creates one stream of motives that come out of his fingers. I slowed the tempo down a little bit, and you know, I'm not playing 100% his phrases, but I want to show you how to play in this style. So even if you just play very simple pentatonic phrases, by displacing the beat, and for example, always starting at 2, you can create a profound effect. If you grew up in the Western world, then you've heard a lot of music in your lifetime that's very accented on the 1. But see, the blues comes out of the African musical tradition. And in the African tradition, there really is no such a thing like the 1, like we know it. So in order to sound more bluesy and more African, try to start on different parts of the beat. So I would describe Clapton's phrasing as on fire. If you know Clapton's career a little bit, he really didn't play like this at any other point in his career. I would argue that his phrasing is very close to that of Jimi Hendrix. You know, he even uses some of the unison bends and some of the repeating bending licks, like stuff like that, that also players like Jimmy Page or Jeff Beck were using at the same time. So, you know, if we look at this, we don't want to look at only one player, but let's look at the tools of the 70s guitar rock gods. So these flash licks are definitely one tool. We're going to talk about that more in another episode. But you know, repeating licks that have odd groupings are a great tool to kind of freshen up your sounds. You know, something like this, for example. Or something like this. So Clapton's phrasing is on fire, and if you try to closely transcribe the Crossroads solo, you will find out that it takes quite some dexterity to nail all those bends in the high register. So what's the key of mastering this kind of style? Well, you want to get your left hand really strong. You want to be able to play all those double stops, unison bends, far bends with 3 semitones and even 4 semitones. And then you'll be right on track to play those repeating licks. Don't you agree, Tomcat? We gotta find a seat for you. So let's do a little summary. Today I was talking about Eric Clapton's sound and style in the days of Cream, and I was using the solo of Crossroads of just an example of his playing style. I was pointing out 3 factors that made up his sound at that time. I was talking about the choice of notes, his rhythmical placement of his phrases, and also his phrasing in general. If you put those 3 elements together, you will come very close to sounding like Cream's Eric Clapton, as I'm going to demonstrate in a little while at the Endjam. But before we wrap it up here, I promised you that I have a special thing ready for you. And that is, if you really want to take your playing on the next level, strengthen your phrasing, and just become an all-around, well-rounded player, then I have something really cool for you. I want to send you a free gift, and that is my Jimi Hendrix workshop, where I go over some of the essential techniques that it takes to play like our 70s rock guitar gods. The link is right down there below. Just give me your email address and then I can send it straight to your inbox. Because, like I say very often, mastering the music of Jimi Hendrix is really a key foundation to be able to play in this 70s style, but really to play any kind of rock guitar style. Because he was just the groundbreaking innovator to get us moving on the rock guitar. You know, we play in so many ways based on what he gave us. So if you haven't done that yet, now is a great time, and check out my Jimi Hendrix workshop for that. All right, so let's get Tomcat back here one more time. And we definitely want to hear how you like the new studio. And we look forward to seeing you again next week when we're going to be talking about the musical stylings of Jimmy Page. Until then, have a great weekend, sign up to the channel, and we'll see you guys soon.